And we're alive.
So you were just we were just like, okay, maybe we should just record this if we're gonna
Yeah.
fucking talking about this. Alan was like, some Russian oligarch. You didn't say like deflect. What did you say? He talked negatively about the war.
Yes.
And I was like, it wasn't the aluminum king of Russia. And you're like, oh, it's the metals something. And he's like, Oleg. I'm like, Deripaska. He's like, yes.
Yep. You nailed it. It. So he is a billionaire metal magnate with close ties to Putin. He called the war mad, criticized Russia's defense spending. He said, quote, if you want to stop the war, first you need to stop the fire, calling for an immediate unconditional ceasefire in Ukraine. So the article, this is from USA Today, says Deripaska does not seem to be a candidate for defenestration. So watching what happens to him and watching to see if there will be other voices like this could be an indication of things coming apart in Moscow. So yeah, probably avoid windows for a while and don't touch doorknobs.
Maybe buy new underwear every time.
Yeah.
Skip it. You don't need underwear. Underwear's not that. It's over.
Just go. Yeah.
Oleg Deripaska poured millions into Kentucky, so maybe not directly into Mitch McConnell's campaign, but I knew this name because in like 2019, 2020, there was a bunch of stuff about Moscow Mitch. That was the whole Moscow Mitch thing.
Oh, right. Okay. So he poured a lot of money into like super PACs and stuff.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Right.
But also maybe. Oh shit!
Hey,
look at that.
Cody's here. What's up, bud?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Good, man. Good.
Now it thinks I don't have a card. Hold on.
Been a while.
What do you
Last
mean
time was with Julian, I think, right?
Yeah, I have a card.
Yeah.
Where he left like 20 minutes in and then you know.
Show 20 minutes early. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I'm having audio difficulties. Give me a moment.
No worries.
I thought
we had Sino on it. We had Sino on again a couple months ago. Actually he was on camera for like a couple of seconds.
Wait,
that dude did not.
Cody, this is being recorded.
Yeah. What do you mean is it being recorded? I'm a great guy.
Cody always assumes it's being recorded.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. What are they gonna do? Fight me? Fix my nose? Fucking. It's not good. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I literally just like hopped out of that. I felt bad because like I threw a guy tonight, and I was like, because we were like practicing, and I threw him, and then they're like, "Hey, hurry up, we're almost done." And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna throw you. We're just gonna finish this." I was like, "This isn't your first class, right?" And he's like, "No." And so I just whipped him across the room, and like because I had to run into the crash pad, and he like rolled and then like hit the wall, like fucking scorpioned over. And then I ran over because he was like rubbing his neck. I'm like, let me guess, it was your second class. He goes,
Yeah.
I was like, God, bro, come on, man, don't do this to me.
Full scorpion.
You don't want to be honest about stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a human nature thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm one of the best, like, bro.
Yeah, it's like not gonna do this. Yeah. No,
we're both over
30. I went into an electrical supply house today. I know exactly what I wanted. I'm like, I'm not going to walk up to these guys that do it for a living. I interact with electricity, clearly. But I, you know, it's a part of my trade, but I still am like, okay, I know it's this gauge wire. I need it all in one bundle. Oh, right. A cable. I want a cord. That's what I need, a cord. They're like, I thought you needed wire. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I come to you guys. I don't act like I'm here to talk to the experts.
There you go.
Speaking of which, I guess that segues us right into the show just fine.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to play this clip. I was going to play a clip of Lindsey Graham talking about like, oh, thank God it's finally happened. Wait, let's play briefly, because I want to spend more time with you talking. But Lindsey Graham, Mr.
Hey, you sound like you're underwater all of a sudden.
Putin started this, kick his ass. Bottom line is to the administration, I appreciate your support. Let these people fight. Give them weapons they need to win a war they can't afford to lose. When it comes to F-16s, way too long. They're here. Let's use them. Let's train Ukrainian pilots. And I talked to President Zelensky just a few minutes ago. If you're a retired F-16 pilot and you're looking to fight for freedom, they will hire you here.
Okay. We can stop there, right?
Help wanted ad for fighter pilots.
Holy shit. Okay. Wow, I didn't make it all the way to the end there. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Is my audio still lousy, Alan?
No, you're good.
No, you're good. Wow.
Yeah, I
pretty
mean, the Ladybug's never seen a war he doesn't love, so it's not surprising. But it's just the gall and the way he does it.
He's a Southern dandy. It like until you've like Dustin, you know it. Like, how long have you been in Nashville?
3 years.
3 years. So you can kind of see a fake cowboy now. You're just like, what the fuck is that? And it's just like that.
wearing a cowboy hat for the interview.
You're starting to get there, right? You're starting to move away from REI.
Yeah,
starting to shop at Bass Pro Shop. Like, I love a good fucking like camo.
Oh, that's why I got this.
Oh yeah, see, we're changing you.
We got. Oh
wow, yeah, you got your new podcast gun.
For some reason, I've got 2 in that drawer though. I need to. That's the point.
Dual wielding.
Anyway, I had 3 in there, and I realized I don't have one in the bathroom, so I moved it.
Bad. Good choice.
I keep telling everybody where the location is on the show.
You really got to stop doing that.
Yeah. Love a challenge.
Okay. All right. So we want to bring you on to talk about Kurrrrsk. There was like a couple of things over the weekend. We didn't do a big show on Thursday. I'm gonna be out of town on this Thursday, and we were like, well, there's the Olympics. No. What was it? Oh yeah, hold on. Ukraine invaded Russia, and it's been like over a week. So like, okay, I guess we should probably talk about it.
Yeah.
Probably just set you loose with that. I'm sure you can set the table a little bit. Questions.
Yeah, first off, Lindsey Graham, I love it when like the only person who I've ever seen in Congress where I'm like, I love that, is like Josh Hawley coming out of like an intel brief and like rubbing his temples and going, if there's a plan to win, I didn't see it. And it's like, that's every intel brief I've ever been in. It's like, holy God, like what did we just sit through? And like, that's a good intel brief, is when people are like, okay, there's a lot we need to, because it's war, right? Like you should never
leave with them saying like, everything's going to be great. We're going to kill people.
And then we're going to take back Moscow. Oh God, we've lost. Like, but that's how old we are. We all laughed at that.
I have it in the soundboard. I took it out because it didn't belong with.
It doesn't. Yeah, but so essentially, what happened is for a couple of weeks now, the Ukrainians have been getting rid of the ISR, which is essentially just getting rid of the drone platforms, getting rid of the cameras, getting rid of the reconnaissance elements. And by that, I mean killing. And so kind of taking away the eyes and the ears of the commanders in the Kurrrrsk region. Right. Yes. And so there were signs there. And if I follow a guy named Deki on YouTube. I speak a little bit of Russian, but he's Serbian. And people have been saying in like the comment section, they're like, the commander of that section sucks, like of Kurrrsk. Like he's been failing miserably and not dealing with this well. And there were signs like of all the drones getting popped up and like destroyed. And so it's like, okay, how did you not know that? Because it's intelligence when it's kinetic and it is doing things in the operational environment. When intelligence is in war, it's essentially just how do you hunt people and how do you measure them and how they hunt you, because you're trying to establish patterns of life with them and you're trying to do counterintelligence to make sure that they don't get the up and up on you. So essentially a bunch of Russians were smoking and joking in the Kursk region and they got their asses kicked So the units that are there are Western trained and American equipped, right? They're using Strikers, which for those that don't know, those are just wheeled armored personnel carriers. They've got like a 50 cal on top. It depends on, I need to look at the package, so don't quote me, but they come in different variants. Like there's like a tank hunter one with like a turret on top and stuff, but they're just fast and they're good. They're good APCs. For a while, 2nd Ranger Battalion was using them, I think, in Iraq. Just cruising around. They've got like a little cage to prevent like RPG side shots and stuff. They're great.
Oh, this is a Striker?
Yes.
My least favorite X-Men guy.
I got to get into that, dude. I got a kid on the way. My son.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My wife like gave me a list of names and I'm like Logan, because I want to be like X-Men, just like Logan. So it's gonna be X-Men in my house for like the next.
It's a good name to yell at in a park too. So like
So just always But
so Strikers, they're using Strikers. Also, congratulations. They're not gonna
No, you're good. I'm side note, I'm so stoked because I was like everybody's like all worried and stuff, you having a kid, but I was like, Cub Scouts, BB guns, archeries, canoes. He's gonna be the best.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
But to get back on track, so that it was designed this way. It was fast movers going in and just like a dynamic punch right through, because there's a line behind the border a defensive line. And so the biggest question I had were, if you've seen the Foxhole Company Instagram, there's the maneuver defense and there's the area defense. The area
little shapes.
Yeah, the little shapes. So bad shapes, the diamonds.
Cody's got the best shaped videos, man. You got to follow Foxhole if you have.
Really
I'm
cool
like,
shapes.
Yeah. Sesame Street writes me letters. They say you've got the best shapes. We've seen many shapes now. But
defensive. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm just thinking of like a Donald Trump fucking Sesame Street. Like, the kids will love it. We'll train soldiers in the future. They'll see their shapes. It's gonna be huge. Like, but so the big one was, is this an area defense or a maneuver defense? So the maneuver defense, they allow it to pull back. They let you get a pocket, and then they just hammer that pocket until it dies, and then they move. Yeah, they let it come forward, and they have multiple trenches, and people are like, that's defense in depth, and it's like, it's not that way. Like, funny enough, there was a battle of Kurrrsk in World War II
last time. So funny enough, Russia's using some of the same tanks, right?
T-34s.
But
it's the first meme.
So is this a maneuver defense? Are the Russians going to allow this to happen and play off of it, or are they doing an area defense and like they really didn't want this to happen? And the answer is it was an area defense.
Wow.
They did not want this to happen. So like, this dude's going to be taken out behind the garden shed and shot. Whoever this guy in charge of this sector, there's been like months in the making of this, and yeah, like this guy's going to fall out of a hospital. Like,
who's the one that shot her dog? Was that Mace?
Oh no, it was the
Gnome, Christy Gnome.
Christy Gnome.
Yeah. I get my hot Republicans confused.
My hot Republican. Yeah.
What?
If I see one more like AI image of AOC or Kamala or Marjorie Taylor Greene or any of that, like I'm done.
Look, I'm just saying, if you didn't know and you were at some like North or South Dakota, I forget which one, bar, and like halfway through the night, you're just chatting with this lady, and halfway through the night, she's like, hey, things are winding down. Why don't we go back to my place? And things start getting a little heavy. And right as like you think she's gonna ask you to put a condom on, but she's like, hey, I'm that lady who shot her dog in a gravel pit. You wouldn't stop. You wouldn't stop.
That'd be like putting a finger in my butt.
Yeah,
oh, yes.
All right.
What are you doing? Oh, I'm just thinking about a Costco membership for our family. I don't know. I'm sorry. That's sorry.
Game for that.
But so this was really, really bad for the Russians. And the other thing is that so we have like the predetermined things in the intel sphere that are happening, right? Like there's the drones getting shot down, there's counter recon going on. So like they're sending in like their Spetsnaz reconnaissance units to go in, and they're not coming back. And so it's like, okay, they've got something here that this isn't good, right? Like there's signs, right? So, but before even that, there's been signs of these S-400 systems. And so if Russia,
that's right, the bill of goods, basically.
So that I've talked about like Snow Dome before, but for like any, we've got so much time, so it's like, think about Russia like an onion. It's got layers. So the S-400 is the maximum ring, and then of like kinetic, but then there's like the outer ring, which is like satellites. And so like the more you come towards the Russian defensive line, the thicker the air defense is. And so by the time you get there, there's the man pads, there's the ZSUs, there's tons and tons of systems, and then there's the S-400. Now, in order to get in there, like we can fight the space domain, like the US, our allies, New Zealand, the NSA, like all of the Five Eye community can get in there and fight in the space domain. So we can mess with their satellites, we can do EW and fight that for them. But what we can't do is get those S-400 systems. So the plan is to get those S-400 systems out of Kurrrsk, and they got 5 of them.
Wow.
That's huge. That's almost an entire like Corps worth of S-400s. And then they've been bombing them in Crimea with HIMARS and ATACMs so that the F-16s can get in there. So is
this F-16s go time?
That's what they're working towards. Is that
in Russia?
Yeah. So
Jesus Christ.
The thing
I feel like I just listened to a Toby Keith record. Like I'm really excited for something I don't want.
Yeah, well, the thing is like, so everyone's like, oh, they're gonna go for the Kurrrsk nuclear power plant, which that's huge. It's a power plant that supplies all of that region
in reverse.
And so it's like but the guy who's leading the Ukrainians, I forget his name because
he's the guy that when they switched to him, everybody hated him because he was like he was old.
Oh, dude, they published this picture and I was like, okay, I like this a little bit because he's like sitting there and like you can tell a lot about a guy by like what kit he wears and like how how he presents himself as a soldier. And he's just like sitting in the tactical operations center and he's got like a sleeveless or he's got a sleeve shirt, but it's all the way up here on his like shoulder. And then he's got a little bit of a gut, but his arms are just
massive,
like triceps for days. And so he does his Russian kettlebell workout, but he's got a gut. So it's like, and then he has a belt kit with suspenders. So it's like it just makes
packed with dad strength.
Like, all of it. I was like, whoa, and forearms. It's just like the massive Soviet build. Like all he does is kettlebells and radishes. You're just like, yeah, that's fuck yeah. Like I was getting, and he's bald too. So you're like, oh man. And so he's just
like the soldiers are supposed to have hated him because they were like, he's gonna make us go do things we don't want to do.
Yeah, because I mean he's Soviet trained, so he has that doctrine. And then the other guy, he wasn't as much. And so this new guy, the other thing that I like about this is that the OPSEC or the operational security was airtight. There was no
leaks. They didn't tell the Americans, right?
I mean,
every time they tell the Americans, some Air Force kid posted a bunch of pictures in a tank.
Hey, Minecraft Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So I kind of like this. I like it a lot because it's ballsy. It's a good like punch. It reeks of USSR style, like let's get some. And he has just all of the boxes checked. Now, where things kind of tilt on this is these guys are going to die.
That's right. This is a suicide run.
Yes.
Well, so there's some reporting that they brought along with them like bulldozers and building equipment. Like they're not just planning like a cross-border raid in and out.
Seems treat it like the Gaza Strip. Oh no.
So yeah, I mean, even if you kind of like clear so like here's the thing, is like they could do a raid, right? Yeah. And they could clear this up, they could they could bulldoze some things, kind of set everything up, and it's like, okay, we got to retreat, we got to get out of here. Or they could set up defenses and then move in territorial forces or a new unit that isn't an assault unit or whatever, right? And they could, relief lines of relief, right? So they push up for 3 days, and then a new unit comes up, and then they've
been doing as
this. And that's proper. So and once again, I'm loving it. Boxes are checked, but it's when we go from like the 25 meter to the 50 to the 75 to the 100, when we start playing off like, okay, then what? Things don't look so good. And that's like you said, this is kind of like a suicide run. It's like, yeah, but so in a unit, in all operational capacity, you have the assault element, the support, and the security. So really simple tactics is somebody gets online, everybody lines up, they shoot their guns, and then the enemy shoots back at you, and then guys kind of flank left, flank right, and that's the assault element, and then you have your security elements behind you. And that is the basis for all things, whether it's like a 12-man, a platoon, a company, whatever. Like somebody's doing assaulting, somebody's support by fire, and then somebody's pulling security. So if you lose 1/3 of your guys, 30%, you lose one of those assets. So you become what we call like you're operationally dead. So this unit that went in, I want to say it's the 23rd Brigade. We did the math because they said they lost 50 vehicles. That's over 1/3 of the unit. So they are operationally kaput. They're done. So they've, at a minimum, from both Ukraine and Russia, saying like we've lost 50 vehicles. There's over 300 dead.
So it's a stalemate locally.
I don't want to say so. What I think is happening, because there's so much fog of war here, is those guys went in, they did a fantastic job. They got those S-400 systems. They knocked out that support zone. They kicked Russia's door open. Now a new unit is coming in, but But this assault unit that was American trained, American equipped, we've spent billions of dollars on these guys. We spent, it takes, 3 months to go through basic training, another 3 months to go through infantry school, and then you become a private. It takes another year to train you up. All those guys that did that 1.5 to a year of training, but it's expedited. It don't matter. You can't rush the process. It's going to take you a 1.5 to get this. They're dead. They're gone. So it's going to take us another 1.5 to train those guys. Right. And so General Dad Strength is probably going to move in some BMPs, some T-72s, some Russian equipment to dig in and hold that line and piss off the Russians. Because it comes with that second thing of what is going to happen with the Donbass, what's going to happen with the Crimea and Luhansk, because those lines are completely dead. Nobody. Right. So if you don't know this, there's a unit called the Black Hussars in the Donbass, and they have completely punched through the door. It is open. It is a free for all. Well, there's like the 47th Mech is an American equipped unit, and they have like a couple Bradleys left, and they are just like sneaking in, taking a couple shots, trying to get dudes out of villages, and then it gets hit with a drone and they're done. And so this motorized infantry unit, the Black Hussars of the Russians, are making a name for themselves down there. They have beat back Azov. They've beat back the 47th Mech. They have kicked in the door. And so it comes with this second option of, is this going to pull away from those pushes in the Luhansk and Donbass region? And I don't think so.
Because Russians have enough forces to do both.
Yeah,
and Ukrainians really don't. So the question is why? Why would you use these well-trained troops, these resources, to do this if you can't hold the territory?
Change hearts and minds in Russia.
I mean, so there is the nuclear power plant, there is that gas metering station, but that pipeline runs through Ukraine anyways. So like, if they want to stop that gas, they can do it without taking this territory. There's also the Belgorod rail line, but it's still they haven't gotten anywhere near that yet. But that, if they could take that out, like stop that supply line and troop transport, that would be huge. But that seems impossible. Like, why bother? What's the point?
I mean, so that's the thing, is that down south, that is all Russian. Like, that's their MO. Trenches, attritional warfare, ground and pound. Like, it's just ugly down there, and they love it. Up north, it's different. There are not destroyed cities. There are not like beautiful fields to run across. Like, the Donbass is literally hell on earth. It's like the Ardennes in World War I. It's just, you don't want to be there. But the Russians, for some god awful reason, they enjoy that. That's their style of war. But we just spent all this time equipping, training, and doing this. And so this 23rd just like right through the line. And keep in mind, there was no air support whatsoever. The F-16s and some of the Su-24s and some of the bombers were there. But this isn't air contention. This isn't air dominance. This was, we're gonna sneak a kick under the table and see how they react. But on top of that, like, I've been talking to a buddy of mine. He's the Shambe Report Instagram, and he's in the Discord. Shout out to Katos. He kind of gets it because, like, my brother-in-law for 8 years was Georgian USSR. Like, he was my judo coach. He was my wrestling coach. I spent 8 years with him. He took me around. If you're in the judo BJJ world, like, I know Igor Yakimov from Canada. He's a Russian, like, combat hand-to-hand officer. I spent like 4 years in summer camps with him. And so it's not like, oh, I know because I've done it. I just know these people, and I know that the one thing that doesn't sit right with me, like you're saying, like, why would you do that, is that that's the Rodina, right? That's the motherland. Like, you took a piece of the ground that Napoleon and Hitler tried to take. And like, when you take a piece of that soil, like, even my blood, like when I heard that they invaded Kursk, like, like, if you like go listen to like any Russian military song, like the VDV, the Atak, which are like the militia, the Spetsnaz songs, like it's just that land is sacred to them. And like, it's not the fatherland, this is the motherland. And you touch, and that, so it's like, like even I'm saying it, and I'm like chilling up because like I could feel like what it means to call it the Rodina, like the motherland. And so it's like, it goes two ways with that. Like you said, you're like, why would you do that? Because it means everything to them. Like they like, Putin spent an hour talking about how like Ukraine is ours. It literally means the land between. And everyone's like, look at this guy. Like, no, that means something to him. It's like Toby Keith CD. Like, you do not. I'm a goddamn Afghan vet. Don't touch my Toby Keith. Like, like, so this isn't like a kick under the table or a poke in the eye. This is like groping their mother. And so it's like, you don't do that. And so that works in the sense that like they're gonna feel it and it's gonna hurt Russia, and Putin needs to take that back because of who he is and the PSYOP campaign that he runs around. Like, I am the guy who rides bears, you know. And then, but the other thing is like, brother, man, like even I'm sitting here and I've only spent like 8 years of my life around Russians, and I felt like, hey, you don't touch that. And it's like I'm a man. I was born in Texas, raised in Tennessee. I spent 8 years with Russians. I'm like, don't touch Russia. Like, who the fuck am I? What am I doing right now? Like, so I think
you get the psychological effect of it.
Dude, so that's why I was saying like Sean Bay report Katos, because like he's from Mozambique, like he grew up there. There's Russians there. And so
I
it's
realized
like,
Katos was Sean Bay report. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and so
anyways, but
I love him, but he's like, he's got Russian people that he knows, and he works with Russians, and he's like, dude, like they are pissed, like not like mad, like, oh, like they're ready to like scalp and like the call of the motherland. And it's just like, I don't know how that plays out. And so this is like a throat chop and everything in it. And so I hope that gets across. I mean,
so the morale impact on the Ukrainian side is huge, and then the morale, the kick to the stomach on the Russian side is massive as well.
But
so
in the heart of every Russian, if there's like, so like, I think it was like the defense secretary in 01. He said this to like the guys who were, it's like 01, 02, 03. They were doing this huge operation to go catch, I think it was 03. They were trying to catch us 02, whatever. 101st, the 5th group, they were all chasing Osama bin Laden through the valleys in northeast Afghanistan. And it was this big operation. Like everybody knew like this is going to be bad. And the Secretary of Defense said, look, there's not a man alive who doesn't feel like an inch in his spine that he needs to be here with you to chase Osama bin Laden down and kill him. Like every American man wants to be you. Like, go kill that motherfucker. And they almost got him that day. Like, it's just so it's like in the spine of every Russian right now, it's like, you do, especially Kurrrrsk, like you do not touch that. And so it's like, I'm sitting here like, I don't think you should have did that, but we'll see. Like,
but I mean, is it oversimplifying to say like, I mean, just you'll always be in the history books as the group that
forever
that did what they did this last week is, and wow. How large was the size of this force? And what I don't know words, so like, are we talking like what are the words that go with this?
So it's like regiments. So like a regiment is 3 battalions, and then battalions are, everyone's going to be like, well, you know, there's like the support company, and like we're talking infantry, the guys that are actually doing things. So there's like 120 guys per company, and then there's 3 to 4 line companies per battalion. So it's like, think of like 12 times 120 is your regiment. Gotcha. And so they operate in regiments. So that's something that people have been talking about. And that's another thing is like every guy who's been in contact with me in Ukraine when Kurrrrsk happened, they were like, fuck yes, we're going to win this thing. And it's like, and I'm like, bro, I don't know if you, but whatever, man, good for you. But, so they're fired up. But like the one thing that they've also said is like, their regimental commanders are all like, you know, colonels and like 1-star generals. So they're all like bickering and like, you know, me.
That's the nature of that though, isn't it?
It can be. But the thing is like the Russians realized like this isn't going to do. So the regiments went under a division commander who's a 3-star. And he said, look, I'm going to like, we're going to, you know, what's the Les Grossman, Tropic Thunder? How do you deal with a pissed off officer? You smack him really hard on the ass. And so I get the feeling
and go fuck yourself.
I get the feeling that the new Ukrainian general is that way. Like, he's just like, oh, you want to be like back there in Lviv and Kiev, like partying with NGOs, doing cocaine, like check out these triceps. Well, what about him? Backhand. Like,
we just had a guy that was one of the guys that we hang out with the podcast that listens. I don't know. I don't like saying listener. I don't even know what the right word is. One of the guys that we hang out with the podcast, he just got back from he was in, well, maybe I shouldn't be specific. He was just in Russia. And like, while this started, he's like, something going on in Russia. And I'm like, I'm seeing something. I don't really know what to make of it, you know?
I mean, but then again, it's a state where you can't talk about those things.
That was
so.
kind of where I was intending to go with that. Now that I was saying halfway through. So, what about with everything we're saying? It sounds like if F-16s really get into the picture and are effective, that could, if the air defenses are out of the picture, or do they just not have anything to hit? I mean,
that's the other thing is like, so now we're at the 75-meter target, right? So we talked about the 25, it's awesome. 50, it's like 75 and 100. This is it's like. The best way I can describe it is like back in the Croatoan and all those days in Kitbag, we would say something and like history would divert. So think about it like a range fan. Like the more we kind of venture out, the more possibilities.
Many worlds. Yeah, I get
it. So like I could say something and then like something else, like Lindsey Graham could be like, I have convinced the LGBTQ community through a weekend in Miami and go-go dancing.
They all saw the ladybugs and they
$1 trillion will be sent to Ukraine. Like, wow, he blew his butthole out for Ukraine. Jesus. But
you get it. Okay. But I can't remember who knows the rumors or not. Okay.
I look at every time I see him, I'm like, man, he's so gay. Like just
well, I meant to say that earlier. I know what you mean by a Southern dandy. Button Gwinnett signed the Constitution. There is a man named Button Gwinnett that signed the Constitution. Like, yes, it's always been there. Yes.
Gay bros have always been there, just
I think there's only one question I feel like I want to ask. Well, actually, there's a million I want to ask, but off our list, I want to ask one that Wei sent in. I just pronounced the H in it. That Wei sent in saying, what are the prospects of China taking advantage of a weakly guarded Russian border?
I don't see it.
Okay.
Because like people have been saying like, but the I'll do the S-400, then I'll do the China thing. Okay. But the S-400 thing and the F-16s, but like that's like, look, man, like I used to do air assault operations with like 18 helicopters and like AC-130, A-10, all these things involved. And I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep for like 48 hours, right? You're just like chain smoking and there's rippets and like, how old is that coffee? Like it's 72 hours. Give me that. Like somebody go get me a chicken wrap or something. And you're just planning and stacking and doing all these things to move all of this in like this orchestra to make it dance properly. And so that came with many officers through many schools, through years of experience and funding, and like the JTAC there, who's like went through a selection to be able to do all this. And then the ground commander who's got all these, like the guy who's going to be leading this, he can't quit. He's got $1 billion in just one plane. And so it's like, when you think about all of that and you kind of like supply, fuel, all of that. And it's like, who's going to be the guy in charge of this? Who's going to be leading that? Billions and billions, and not just that, but also all of Ukraine on that back. Those guys don't exist. And I'll say that to any Ukrainian fighter out there, like there's just not enough training. There's just not enough time. How much? I did the expedited JTAC course. Like, dude, what? Like, come on, man. Like and we only have so much, like we have an infinite amount of stockpile. Do we? Trump gets here possibly in November. Is the Congress going to switch up? Who knows? And so like you've got, that 75 and 100 meter target. It's like, we've got 100 F-16s, just 100. Do we have more coming? Do we have the quality officers and guys to lead that final charge to Kurrrrsk? And it's like, I haven't seen it. And even this new commander who's in charge of the Ukrainian army, I like him a lot and he's showing promise, but it's like, is he going to be that guy? And we don't know. It's only been like how many months? And so there's nothing. Even Budanev failed his soft mission to Crimea. It's on his Wikipedia. He was trained by the CIA and failed.
You do your Oppo research on these guys.
Well, I mean, it's like
Kurrrrsk too. Remember that?
I'm looking at, dude, if we went to Vegas and we started betting on like political events, like, okay, like Trump's going to have a gay experience at an airport. And then I want the parlay on like Kurrrrsk. Like I could probably make some money, but
I would not have had Tim Walz drink horse cum. I just wouldn't have been on my list.
But dude, it's just, I say it all the time too. I'm like, the quality of officers in our army aren't there either anymore. Like they're all gone, dead, or retired. Like I lost a war. I'm not that guy either, right? Like,
but isn't the argument that like what was America before World War I and II, and who rose up to that occasion? Maybe that spirit still exists in us.
But you don't.
Then you look at our culture in other ways, and you realize, like, I don't know. Let's do a TikTok video to end this. Come on. What do you think about China, though?
But yeah, China's kind of going through it like the rest of us, and that's another thing that like the 100-meter target is like every American is like tired of this economy. Like we're all blue, red, independent, whatever. I mean, we can all agree on one thing. Like, what is this inflation? Like I've seen we've talked about this, Dustin, where it's like, is it because of the monetary policy? Is it the Fed? What's going on? But we can all agree, like somebody somewhere needs to sit Congress down at gunpoint and be like, fix the grocery store. Same thing with China is like they're because if we go down, they like if you're a crack dealer and your number one customer can't afford crack, what are we doing here?
It's a problem.
Yeah. And so like China's a crack dealer and they're like, hey, bud, like you should probably be spending better. And like, I need you buying Temu shit. It's like, well, you know, baby bills are like $9 a bag, bro. I can't fucking do this. Like, so like China's kind of in this weird position where it's like, they're doing everything right to get to Taiwan, and like the SecDef and a lot of the guys have come out and said like our effectiveness ends 1,000 miles off the Chinese border, and so it's like they're doing everything right, but at the same time it's like American credit cards, American culture is propping them up, and like we're their number one customer and they're our number one dealer, and
that's why I always think that it's just going to keep being. I always have to ask you what DIME stands for.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, there's electronic warfare, there's culture warfare.
Yeah.
Like you need people to sell electric cars to too. So they're not going to just bomb the fuck out of us. It's going to get horrible politically, culturally. Like you're going to hit all of those until you get what you need anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, and China doesn't want to fight us. They would rather economically ruin us and just keep us as like the forever, like they'd rather, like I said, what is the crack dealer without the crack head? Like I need you to pay for my like rims and
or in
my
ancient terms, the point is to
defeat them without ever firing a shot. Yeah, Sun Tzu.
Shear the sheep, not skin it, is what I was.
So but I don't see it. Like Russia's weak and China's like, you know, could, you know, tank punch him or donkey punch him, whatever you want to call it. But it's like
no point, and it would just destroy their whole partnership. Which
but I mean, Chinese officers are definitely there. They're definitely learning. They are definitely watching. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like officers. I mean, in World War I and II, we had officers watching the Russians, and so I'm sure they're learning. But I mean, this is kind of one of those things, like, you know, the rule of two, the Sith, right? Like China can make Russia bend the knee, sort of, and keep them forever enslaved. I mean, they could hand out more debt. They could give them a BRICS loan. They could do, you know, 999 different things besides invade them and take the land. I mean, there's so much to do. I mean, but eventually this could lead to Russia bending the knee to China and falling in as like a muscle man, or like, you know, Russia has Wagner, but then China has Russia. And so there's 500 other things. And that comes from like that life in the intelligence community where you do stuff like that. Like we'll just use this guy to do this. We'll use that guy to do this. We'll use him. And so the Chinese are great at that. They love using people and abusing them and, you know, doing 999 different things. They don't want to go kinetic.
Essentially, they have a lot more incentives to do otherwise than to do that. I have one final question is, Dustin left the meeting.
Yeah, Dustin's power went out, I think. His
I saw the light went down.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, I think this is still recording. I was going to ask, how surprising is it that they've been able to hold this space for a week? And what do you think Putin's response will be, given it's such a psychological impact on the Russian people for this area to be taken?
I mean, it is impressive. And I mean, that goes in two ways, right? Because it's, is he calling you?
No, I was going to text him though while we're.
Yeah, I could fill dead space. But yeah, so essentially what happened is they kind of upped their game, right? They didn't fucking sit there and make this the.
He did call me. Hey,
is the video still open for you guys?
It is, and it says it's still recording, but I don't know where that.
I know. I'm afraid. Are you able to stop the recording?
No.
Okay.
Oh god.
Do you guys want to just wrap it with this audio, and I'll see it? My Wi-Fi is still coming back on.
Okay.
Power went out for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I saw that your light go out. Hey, so I'll just let Cody respond to that last question I asked, maybe, and then we can just.
Wait, join now.
Oh.
And then we'll do this.
There we go.
Stop recording. Wait, nope, I didn't stop recording. Holy shit, that whole thing recorded?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just stayed in the root. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, maybe Google doesn't. Maybe the monopoly thing's okay.
Yeah, maybe it's not that.
It's so the question was how
surprising is that Ukraine's been able to hold this territory for a week and then.
Can I go back in time? I thought we were talking about China.
Yeah, he had another question because he got to talk.
And what might Putin's response be given how big of a deal it is?
I mean,
territory?
He literally just walked into the meeting with Shoigu and just said, and Gerasimov, like, I think it was Gerasimov, and he was just like, deal with it. And I mean, unpopular front, that guy's funny. Everybody takes his stuff serious, but like, he's really smart in some ways, and he comes out of like, he's just that pitcher with that far, that curveball, and he was like, now, you invade Russia, now you get to fight the FSB, and it's like,
yeah.
Like those guys are no joke. And so there's some people are like, well, they're just border guards. Well, yeah, the FSB actually served in Afghanistan and went specifically after the drug cartels because all the heroin comes from Afghanistan. So in like 01 to like 03, Russia was fighting with us, and the FSB fought like hell in Afghanistan. So it is surprising, but it's not, because like it was just border guards and it was like a crappy commander. And Ukraine did their homework. I mean, that's war, right? And like, there's times when like people say things like pro Ukraine, and I'm like, stop being stupid. Like that's not how war works. But like, this is a pro Ukraine point. Like, yeah, Russia, suck it up. Like you had the junior varsity team lined up at Kurrrrsk, and General Daddy came in with his triceps and forearms, put his thumbs on his suspenders, and he said, I'm gonna go there, and like just killed them all. And so it's like, yeah, that's war. It's not fair. And he did his homework. He prepped for months in advance. He brought his best dudes, and he thunder thumped the shit out of them and made everybody cry. And they're like, and so this is the first time I've seen something where I'm like, because the first counterattack was all from 2014 to 22. All of those units were trained by us, like NATO and all that, but they all died doing that. But this is the first round where I've seen every box checked, and it's like he's checked every box. It looked good. He dealt with what he had. They weren't sitting there like, you give us submarine and then we attack. Like he's like, nah, fuck it. Like we're running the ball, and it was like, holy shit. Like it's
he's running, we're going. Yeah,
and so I mean, like if he's bringing the heat and he's bringing the triceps and the traps, but a beer gut to follow, like I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And so it's like, maybe because there's been some people who are like, wait till this week, like this week there's going to be more. And so it's like, oh yeah, like let's see how this goes. And so it's not surprising, because it's hard work, and he put in the work, and he's been doing this for weeks. And so it's like, but now the Russians need time to kind of adjust, recalibrate, send in the FSB, send in the VDV. And, there's also Wagner and Belarus that are now on the table as well. I was
just going to say, we don't have time to talk about Belarus, but man, they got to be like, fuck, are we next?
Yeah, get a little antsy over there in Belarus.
All right. We have to stop. I me, I have my compulsions. I found it. Oh, damn it. God damn it. It would have been so good, but I went through an audio reset. Okay, here it is. It's okay. It's okay. Give me 5 seconds. It's coming up. Maybe more than 5 seconds, but we're really close. That would have been so smooth.
You could just edit it and just put it in.
I don't feel like editing anymore. I have this. And I have this one is what I wanted to play earlier. It was already in the board. I just had to find it. I've got like 8 pages. There's too many pages.
It's too many pages, Dustin.
Yeah. Hey, dude, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, man.
It's great that in a pinch I could ask you. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no
appreciate it, man.
I didn't know that whole the thing about like finding that weakness in that particular commander. Like that was something I learned from talking to you about this, man. Thank you.
Yeah. No
problem, guys. Last having Cody on the show, man.
Yeah, I love you guys. It's great seeing you guys.
Cheers, man.
Love you back, bro. All right, cheers.
Just leave the call. No, I need to stop recording. Wait. I don't have to edit if I do this. All right, we can hang out now.
When a guy's banging you,
Y'all let me in his damn house.
oh, how about that?
Come in the name of peace.
LMFAO.
So what in the world is this?
Is Kevin McCarthy a moron, and if so, why?
Why would you say something that stupid?
I come without explanations or solutions.
I'm a very sexy lady.
Cat turd.
I will not suffer this harlot.
How great! An anti-American Marxist.
Ted Cruz, go fuck yourself.
Read the news.
China is asshole.
That's her.
United States.
Podcasting.
I didn't know we were still here.
All right, cheers, guys.
Cheers. Later.